morning. I think I'm going to call this one Once a Fan, Always a Fan. As the Mets ended their 2015 dreams yesterday, disappointing many, but not this optimistic fan. I loved every second of every game I was able to watch, even the pain of it. A lesson learned for us all from manager Terry Collins, who in his own words said he went with his heart, and he allowed pitcher Matt Harvey to pitch the last inning, reversing his decision to send in Familia for the close. I was watching last night and I sensed that Collins was like a dad who allowed his kid, who had thrown some 90-some fantastic pitches, to get his way. And the rest, as they say, is history. But then I think, is it that awful to go with your heart once in a while? I think that had Collins only been thinking of the business of baseball, he wouldn't have made that decision. But maybe he wasn't. And for that fateful moment when the game became human, my hat's off to Terry Collins. And then there's always next year. I heard the results of the Turkey selection in the car last night, and I was a bit sad about the Mets' loss. But it actually affected my sleep. Not the Mets' loss, but the elections. President Erdogan's governing party regained its majority, getting close to 50% of the vote, or thereabouts, leading to both a Turkish lira and an Istanbul market rally. But the country's not happy, even though there was, I think, an 85% turnout. And I'm not that happy about it either, because as I mentioned after the Polish elections, there is a movement to the right which can be like a viral infection that begins to spread across Europe. This is what happens when stagnation, unemployment, immigration issues, all those things start pissing people off, forcing them to become isolationist and nationalistic. And then they vote in a new leader or an old leader who serves them what they want. And he begins to curb freedom of the press, threaten free trade, and put import restrictions, build walls, favor local investment in state-owned companies that are probably owned by people in the higher echelons of government. I don't know. This fever hasn't yet spread across the rest of Europe, but there is a risk. Europeans may now be thinking, to hell with the Eurozone. I'm poor, I'm unemployed, I don't have as much as I used to. The old times were the better times. I don't know. There is reason to worry. I mean, history does repeat itself because we humans are pretty dumb. And, I'm not saying that this is going to result in the World War or whatever, as it did in the 30s, but I'm saying that we should just be wary of authoritarian leaders that are rallying the voice of the hungry, the poor, and the disengaged. So are there any good news out there? I don't know. Our markets last week ended okay, almost unchanged year on year, except for the NASDAQ. The Fed again put off any interest rate decisions based this time on the fact that they thought that the Chinese slowdown was not going to spread outside China. And I cannot even say that without laughing. Really? Okay. It's okay. And I think oil prices on Wednesday were up about 7%, mostly counting on this global growth outside of China thing. And regarding oil prices and gas prices, I realized yesterday that we're probably going to see a $1 handle at the pump real soon. And I'm not sure whether this is good news or bad news, but the tech Fab Five, which include Amazon, Google, Microsoft, Apple, and Facebook, are now worth over $2 trillion and may soon become the 5 largest companies in the US. It scares me a bit, but at the same time, I think that's the wave of the future, or actually we are in the future. Tech companies, brave new world. And in the meantime, Apple is sitting on a pile of like $200 billion worth of cash. And I wonder if they're out to acquire another company, as maybe an auto company, because the auto companies seem to have what they want, the technology to build a brand new car. So anyway, this week, I think Facebook earnings come out on Wednesday. And regarding the Fab Five, I'm just going to put out a question. Is Apple a buy? For you to decide. But another stock I'm watching is Kroger, which surpassed the $11 billion mark in organic sales this year and will soon overtake Whole Foods. And I don't know about you, but I used to love Whole Foods. And maybe it was because it was the only game in town, but I loved it. But now I'm shopping around and finding great organic produce and products at better prices at Kroger. So Whole Foods, for me, stock-wise and company-wise, it's lost its luster. So this week, what's up? I think construction spending is out today, probably will be up 0.4%. Thursday, factory orders are supposed to be down again after a long string of long downward trend. And by the way, what's a factory again? I don't know. Let's see, what else? And on Thursday, jobless claims should be down again. And I've talked about this before, and I'm going to mention it again just to spark your curiosity and have you go do some research. I'm not an economist, but I do look around and observe. And the help wanted ads in Boulder are proliferating. Boulder and the whole Denver area. What amazes me is that they still offer $10 an hour wages, which is a whole other issue. But I'll say it again, there is a risk of full employment. Full employment is often defined as an unemployment rate of anywhere between 3 and 6%, maybe. Full employment may lead to wage inflation. It's kind of easy to understand. Wage inflation may lead to other inflation. So unless we can sustain our feeble growth, this is what may happen. And what this means to me is that Yellen, who's a lot smarter than I am, may well be looking at possible full employment and maybe think about raising interest rates before the end of the year. So that's my take for today. Thanks for calling or checking in.